You've been in mobile messaging, I'm not going to say forever, but more than most people I know. How many years has it been?
Oh my God, it's been since 2001. So, we're starting to push 20 years soon.
Wow, that is crazy. And so your title is the head of mobile innovations and evangelism at SAP Digital Interconnect. How do you get a job like that? I know you've gone through a ton of companies to get to there. Maybe walk us through your history.
Okay, so I came to what is now known as SAP Digital Interconnect back in 2001. There was a startup called InfoMatch in those days, just starting out in mobile messaging. Prior to that, I was with a company called CMG. CMG sold SMSCs to mobile operators.
Okay.
That was their main business. CMG was part of a consultancy company based in the Netherlands. And one of the things we did there, and I was very proud to be a part of, was we came up with one of the very first messaging hubs in the world.
And explain what a messaging hub is.
Okay, so in the old days, especially in the US, you could not send a text message between operators.
Between AT&T, T-Mobile?
Right, okay. right. So I got the bright idea, let's build a hub so that we could take traffic from, let's say, Verizon and send it to AT&T.
Yep.
In those days, they were called Singular, right? Remember Singular?
Yeah.
Okay. So we did that. We built that as a kind of a spin-off of our SMSCs using the protocol called SMPP. We called it a SMPP router. In those days, it was called the ISR, the Inter-SMSC router.
Okay.
So I had designed that based on our SMSC products, and we built that. And we actually won a contract in Canada to connect all of the 4 operators at that time.
In Canada?
In Canada.
Okay.
In 2001. So that was
2001. So before 2001, you couldn't message. If you had AT&T, you could only message people on AT&T.
Correct.
You guys built a thing that sat in the middle of all the carriers.
Yes.
So that it could all bounce. So the first one was Canada.
Right.
Okay.
That was the first commercial implementation of a messaging hub.
That's crazy.
And P2P, person-to-person messaging hub. So we built that at CMG. Well, that kind of became the norm. Everybody else said, oh, we got to build this too. Well, this little company called InfoMatch started building that later that year. And lo and behold, a few years later, I was made the proverbial offer I couldn't refuse.
Yep.
So I came to work at InfoMatch.
Okay.
And InfoMatch went along, and in 2004, we merged with a French company called Mobileway.
Okay.
Now, Mobileway had also started doing a lot of mobile messaging and things like that. And that created the brand called Mobile 365.
And I remember Mobile 360. What year was that?
It started in 2004.
Okay.
And it went along to about 2007 when Sybase became interested in us. Now, remember, Sybase was a big database company back in those days. So Sybase acquired Mobile 365 and rebranded it as Sybase 365, which a lot of people in the messaging industry have heard of as well. And we went along as a very well-known and visible entity of Sybase until 2010 when Sybase itself was acquired by SAP.
Okay.
And then we again rebranded as SAP Mobile Services, and a few years later we changed our branding to SAP Digital Interconnect to reflect more of the global digitalization, really, of industries and enterprises, things like that. It just was more than, because by this time, we're more than just P2P interoperability between carriers. Now we're probably one of the biggest interoperability providers for text messaging in the world.
Interesting. So SAP still sits in between all the carriers and kind of routes all the messaging.
Yes, especially internationally, somewhat in the U.S. as well, but of course internationally. We can reach virtually every mobile network in the world and a lot of OTT networks, things like that. As part of this, we also provide enterprise engagement. In other words, allowing brands, businesses, enterprises to engage their consumers through mobile messaging channels.
Okay.
You could call us a messaging aggregator, and we're very large in that vein as well.